Ramon, Service Alliance Community. How y'all doing today? I got Andy Z alongside me. What's up, brother?
Good morning. Happy to be here, Zach.
Happy to have you along, man. Morning, EJ. Morning, Gary. How you guys doing? I'm not TK. He's leaving on a jet plane. We do know when he'll be back again. He's heading to build some houses for people in El Salvador. Pretty cool little mission that he's heading on. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. Service Alliance Group got to sponsor one of those builds, so that's always a really cool thing. So love it. You have been a busy bee since the last time we had you on, buddy.
Yeah.
How's the new promotional products venture going?
It's exciting. Every day is just a new chapter, as you know, when you're in small business. I've never done it alone, so this is the first time I'm doing it alone. But it's really fun to work for yourself and get up every day and kind of make that progress. So it's been an exciting couple months. I'm super pumped about where we're headed.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Yeah, and you still get to work with some people that, you know, they're competitors, but they're not competitors. They're contracting you out for some stuff that they can't do in-house, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Those strategic partnerships are so important. So
yeah, it makes what we're about to talk about today a lot easier when you have that network of people to leverage and lean on, and whether it's people in your industry or customers or anything like that.
Yeah, and you know, another piece of the marketing, we actually met them in BNI originally when you and I met, whatever, 8 or 9 or 10. I've lost count of how many years ago that was now. I think we're coming up on 10. I think it was 2016, right?
Yeah. So many people that I work with today and that have helped me set this business up came from BNI. It's almost crazy. I'm sure you guys have preached BNI good enough on here, but I mean, I had people that I haven't talked to in 7 years call me up and say, "Hey, I heard you're doing shirts. I need 100 shirts." You know, it's like, whoa, nice to hear from you, you know, but that's the great thing about BNI. If you do it right, you'll create relationships that really do last a long time.
Yeah, it's a very strong marketing channel for sure. So we're just kind of freestyling it today. TK forgot that he was leaving, and so I was like, "Hey, Andy, you want to come and talk some marketing for Freestyle Friday?" So we're gonna wing it. We're just gonna kind of talk about whatever pops into our minds as far as marketing. Had a little bit of a busy week, so I didn't see what everyone else talked about, but Doug and I just kind of introduced a marketing refresh at the beginning of the week. I know Mike and the girls really went into the SEO and website side of stuff, so we'll just kind of hit whatever comes on our minds, and we'll go from there. If you guys have questions on marketing or things that you've been thinking about with your marketing or are unsure where to start heading with marketing, drop your questions in the chat and we'll do our best to answer those as we're going. But I'll pray it up and then we'll just get into this thing. So, dear Father, we thank you for this beautiful Friday up here in Chicago. You can't see the sun, but it is another beautiful fall day, and we're just so grateful for that day, Father. Pray that you would bless each one of these audience members, bless our conversation this morning, and just may it be fruitful that we can go out and serve your people well. In Jesus' name, amen. So promotional products is a big part of marketing. Like, wrong way, branded swag. You know, you gotta have that stuff out there. Do you do vinyl for vehicles, or is that kind of like a separate realm of where you are?
It's separate. I don't do it. I don't think it's something I'll ever get into. the thing with the vinyl thing is that it actually does take some skill, like to put it on. Some of this stuff doesn't take any skill, but to do the vinyl, it's like it's very tedious. It's a lot of skill, long process. You need space to do it.
Yeah.
There are some guys that are really good at it in our area, and you see some really cool wraps out there. That's the number one thing I think that like contractors miss on. They either don't put any decals on their trucks at all, or they go really cheap with it, which I understand because there's budgets and wraps are expensive. But man, there's nothing better than when you see an awesome wrap truck drive.
It's a big old billboard, man. Like it's just a rolling billboard.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked about we're in the process now of doing our long-term planning, and one of those plans is to buy a delivery van. Not because I have so many deliveries that I need a van, but just so I can get a car on the road with our logo all over it. You know, go park at places and things like that. Just drive it as my daily driver, just so people see it on the road. That's one of the things that we're going to do here in our first year, hopefully.
Yeah, I actually got a lead through the company. They called the company because they saw my truck sitting at Nicky's in Lockport when I was visiting Mikey at his job site. They're like, "Hey, we saw this white GMC sitting in the parking lot over there, and there was a roof going on, and we want you to come and inspect our house." All by having the truck with some logos on it. So that's a huge marketing piece. Don't sleep on that. It kind of crosses into branding, but it is important. And you're right. The good design, don't cheap out on that. We actually, so a friend of ours, Dan Antonelli, he did a podcast with us. He's like the branding guru from the guy's been doing it for, I think, 3 decades. It's pretty wild, but in our area, we have at least 2 companies that he's done, and those wraps are killer. Goldilocks.
Okay, yeah.
He did that rebrand. That's his.
See, I can picture that truck in my head right now.
You can't
wrap.
Yeah. It's so vivid and it pops and the colors are right. And you remember they were like this white, bland, nasty truck that just said Goldilocks, and their logo was like a crappy font of Goldilocks, right?
Yeah.
And then Trailblazer used to be Muir and Sons Plumbing in Lockport.
Okay.
The rebranded Trailblazer, and that was another Dan Antonelli company. So and as soon as you see that one, you're not going to forget that one. That one will like right in your face.
And it's not a coincidence if you look at the companies in our area that have all been taken over by private equity in the last couple of years. What's the first thing private equity does?
They rebrand everything. Yep.
They wrap all the trucks with the new logo. It's not a coincidence. Private equity knows what they're doing, and they know the most important thing that we need to do right away is rebrand this company and get these mobile billboards out on the streets.
Yeah, 100%. Here's a good question from EJ. Andy, what kind of promo products do you think would be most valuable and effective for the appliance repair business?
Yeah, so
you actually can semi-answer this with authority because you guys had appliance and HVAC at your last company. So
yeah. I've kind of seen both sides of it now. When you're talking about like promotional products, like leave behinds with customers, we always stress things that like you would keep in your own home. I'll give you a great example. Those little roller pizza cutters.
Yeah, I
have 3 of them in my drawer right now. I have a really nice pizza cutter, but the one with the promo is way better than the expensive one.
Yeah.
So I use the pizza cutter that my bank gave me. Stuff like that. Things people are going to use.
Chip clips. Freaking chip clips, man.
Chip clips. Those things are old in a house, especially if you have kids.
Give me 5 or 6 chip clips and I'm good to go, man.
Yeah. That stuff is really nice. Companies like to spend a lot of money on, sticky notes, pens and chapsticks and things like that. But just understand that that's the same stuff that every other company is giving people. Not saying they won't keep it and use it, because I'm a sucker for a free pen. But I think as long as your message is right and it matches your company, I don't really think you could go wrong with a promo product.
Did you guys do like folders or trifolds or anything at your previous company?
Yeah, we had trifolds. It wasn't something that we would just leave behind, though. We stressed to the guys, give the customer the tour of the trifold. If you're going to use a trifold, it can be that simple, but you gotta work the trifold. Then you gotta open it up, show the customer what's in there, and then leave it with them. Because now you've shown them. Now hopefully they look at it themselves, so they've seen it twice now, and then maybe a couple weeks down the road they think about it again.
Yeah.
But we would have a lot of guys sell extra services just by giving them the tour of that trifold. Hey, I'm here for maintenance, but by the way, we also do duct cleaning. Here's a picture of our trailer. Here's how our process goes. Customer goes, oh, I'd like to sign up for that.
That's awesome.
So it can be that simple.
Yeah. I love a good leave behind.
Yeah.
One of our friend, Doug, they have a real nice folder that they do with, all sorts of stuff in there. And then they have the magnets and stuff that they leave in there. So I like those. I was always a big fan of the magnets as a leave behind, because basically every appliance is magnetic somewhere. You slap it right on top of it. The exception being the stove and the microwave. You can't really stick a magnet to those, but you can get it on the fridge.
Yeah.
Those were always really good.
In my early sales career, I worked for a State Farm agent. Very successful State Farm agent, owns 2 very high producing offices. He doesn't use business cards at all. He just gives out magnets. He would literally keep a stack of magnets in his pocket, and if anybody asked him for a card, he'd give them a magnet.
Yep.
It's done really well for him. So
yeah, I prefer magnets, right? Like people are they're going to stick it on the fridge and they're not going to lose it. Card, it's gone 10 minutes later. I got a stack of cards sitting here that, I've completely forgotten about, or out of sight, out of mind, but you give me a good magnet, it's going somewhere,
And I don't think cards are a waste of time, because it is a touch. The customer's still looking at it before they throw it away.
I'm just saying, if you want to stay sticky,
yeah,
no pun intended, use a magnet, right?
Absolutely.
It is the way to go. So what else, marketing wise, what are some of the other things? So wraps are a great piece of it. Leave behinds are a great piece of it. Let's talk about BNI. BNI is a huge marketing channel. I mean, you have 20 to 60 to 100 people marketing for you every single week, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah. And the price of BNI has gone up, but that's kind of because BNI has figured out, the value of what they're producing. And if you get in the right group, it can be, so worth it. The problem that some people have is you have, when you join BNI, you kind of have to be willing to just keep moving until you find the right group for you. Me and Zach know this firsthand. We were in a group together that didn't make it, and then we both ended up in different groups and kind of found our homes. And then it's a game that you just have to play. You don't want to be one of those guys that jumps groups every couple of years, but you got to kind of move around until you find a good home. Me ending up in people helping people, they turned into the biggest group in the state of Illinois. So I only ended up there because I transferred from another group, 2 other groups typically.
Right.
But yeah, BNI is a great source. I don't think you're really going to find a better way to spend that kind of money than BNI.
No, your returns on investment with BNI as far as marketing goes. If you are doing the work, let's be very clear about that. If you're in BNI, you got to be in there doing the work. You got to be passing referrals. You got to be doing one-to-ones. Oh, yeah. You got to be doing the continuing education, right? Like if you're not doing all the things and not showing up to the meeting, BNI ain't going to work, and it's not BNI's fault. It's you not doing the work. I stress that one quite a bit because people like to blame BNI, and it's not BNI. It's you not doing the work. But if you do the work, the return is huge. I mean, I think I'm like 10,000. Now, roofing it's a higher ticket item, but I think I'm at like 10,000% return on my investment. Like Come on.
You know what else? And this one might fire some people up. Chambers. So in the industries that we're in, you know, people stay away from chambers because they don't want to be the fifth insurance guy in the room. You know, you don't want to be the seventh mortgage guy in the chamber. But heating and air, appliance repair, these home service businesses, they're not going to their local BNI meetings. So if you have the manpower to go, I was sitting in a monthly morning meeting that was attended mostly by the financial side of the chamber. And one of the guys came up to me and said, hey, my furnace went out this morning. Can you guys come put a new one in? And we literally put a new one in the next day. And the only reason we got that job was because I just happened to be standing in the room. So sometimes it's just about showing up.
It is. Speaking of that, I'm going to our chamber of business, the Joliet Region Chamber of Business Builders, right after we get off the grind. I'm heading over there. You know, in any of these things, if you have time to be involved in leadership in them, it can be a really good thing. So like for my BNI, I am the president this year. I have a great team that's working alongside me, vice president, membership committee, visitor host, stuff like that. I have an awesome team that I got to hand select to work alongside me, and they're fantastic. Then I got roped into being the president of the Joliet Chamber too this year. So I'm really flexing the leadership muscle this year.
President, I like it.
Yeah. In two places, because you know, I have so much time. I'm glad the chamber one is only 6 months, because if we go into the spring, I'm not going to be able to do that again. Good morning, Saul. I owe you a phone call, buddy. Sorry about that. Little space cadet yesterday. But yeah, so chambers are great, especially for appliance and HVAC, plumbing. Like, I don't think there's a single appliance guy in the Joliet Region Chamber right now. And some of you only know Joliet from the Blues Brothers, the prison that was in it, right? But in our area, the Joliet Chamber is the largest, it's the largest chamber in Illinois. Because it crosses a bunch of towns. It's not just Joliet. It is the entire Route 66 region up here.
Densely populated.
Extremely densely populated. And I don't think there's a single appliance repair company in there.
Yeah.
I look through the list and I don't see one.
There's free money sitting there for somebody who's going to jump in and join one day, because there's a lot of appliances in that chamber that need to be repaired. I can promise you that.
And the people that are active in the chamber, they go to the chamber first. They will call into the office, or they will go to the website, and they will scroll through that list. The chamber they'll do an email blast for you. That's free marketing right there. They'll do an email blast, and your name's all over that email that's going out to, in this case, something like, I think they're at 10,000 chamber members or whatever. You're getting your name out to 10,000 people without paying anything other than your yearly membership to the chamber. Come on. So chambers can be a great marketing channel.
Yeah, nice little hidden gem. But you gotta go. You can't just sign up, have your name on the list. You gotta be there.
Yeah, you gotta show up to the events, the after hours. You don't have to show up to all of them, but do show your face here and there. It's like anything else you do. You gotta show up, right? If you don't show up, it's not gonna work.
You do have to show up to all of them, Mr. President.
I have a good vice president in the Joliet Chamber one too. So if I get stuck with an adjuster, I have someone who can cover for me that day. But the after hour stuff, you don't have to be at every single one, right? Because there'd be no time left if I went to every dang event that was out there.
Right.
But show your face semi-consistently, and people are going to remember who the heck you are. I have people that haven't seen me since I was doing appliance repair. Oh my gosh, what are you doing now? Oh, you're doing roofing now. That's awesome. I need to get my roof inspected. It's just that It's just that simple. They will remember you if you showed some form of consistency in showing up to these things.
Yeah.
So let's talk about other promo products, like other marketing, because we're out and about. We're in public. I wear this dang hoodie almost all the time. My daughter wears the hat whenever she's out and about.
Yeah.
What are some of the sticky things that, you know, work when we're talking like promo products for marketing? What are some of the things that you have customers just beating down your door for?
Yeah, I mean, let's talk apparel. Good hats, good shirts. I read an article a couple years ago before I ever got into this business, and it was about a painter who was very upset with what he spent in marketing. And he took that the next year, he took that money, and all he did was buy shirts with it. And he would literally just walk around everywhere and hand out shirts. And he said he became known in the area as the guy that would just walk around and hand out shirts to random people. And it started to actually translate into business. And he insisted in the article that his return on investment was much better that year than the year before. I'm not saying let's go all in like that, but why not give out some swag to your customers? What's a t-shirt going to cost you? $10. So if a customer does it, maybe you're not walking around on the street handing it out to random people, but what about that customer who does a job with you? Maybe you leave them a t-shirt or a hat. They're going to wear that stuff. Believe it or not, people like wearing that stuff. And so that's always a good one. Anytime you can go to an event and give out a wearable item, people will rush your booth for it. But just thinking outside the box, that's what it's been fun to work with other companies and see what they come up with. Because it's like, oh man, I never thought of that, but that's a great idea. I had a home inspector ask me for little butane lighters because winter's coming up, and he's like, people use them to melt the keyhole so they can get their key in the door, and he wants his name engraved on them. It ended up being something that I can't do, but I was like, man, that's a great idea. I never thought about that. So
yeah, that's pretty cool. That's actually a pretty cool idea, especially in northern regions, right?
Oh, yeah, because we're about to be in that season. So ice scrapers, I mean, I've never thrown away a free ice scraper, no matter how bad it was.
So a good Yeti, I'll tell you what, people love the crap there. It's a little expensive to invest in. However, they will never call anyone else because that dang cup is going to be sitting by their coffee maker every single morning.
Yeah.
I don't have a good branded one because I can't use the ones that were branded because I refuse to use that company anymore.
Well, good. You're in luck, Zach, because just last week I got new equipment delivered that's going to make my cup branding side of my business much more streamlined. So we're ready to get some tumblers. Yeah.
We're going to have a talk because I need some pink hat tumblers.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. People were just calling and asking me for them almost every day.
That's awesome.
And I had a little small setup for it. And then I'm like, you know what? Let's invest in the big setup so we can do this a little faster, a little better. Cups are a great thing. A little more on the pricey end, though.
I'll tell you, for appliance guys, if you can invest in it and your high dollar customers, right? So like your compressor repairs, or if you're HVAC guy, they buy a new system from you. Give them a dang Yeti with your name on it. And guess what? When it's time to maintenance that next appliance, or it's time to have the yearly checkup on the HVAC system, they're calling you because they're drinking out of your cup every single day. They're calling you back. What, $20, $25 or whatever for an engraved Yeti, something like that.
A little
maybe
more.
a little higher.
Yeah, if you want the name brand. But there's some really good, quote unquote generics. Arctic makes a good product. There's still ones out there that can hold their own. But yeah, Yeti's going to give you the best brand awareness. It's going to create a little more buzz than the rest of them.
Yeah. Well, and there's something to be said for their lids. That nice magnetic lid.
Yeah.
That's why I use the one I use. It's a great.
We're more of a Stanley family. Zach blurred out. You can see.
that's your camera settings on your
I know.
on your StreamYard. No, but I think that's a great leave behind. Brushes. Like, I wonder if you could do like the refrigerator coil brushes, or like, little dustpan and broom, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
something that pertains to appliances or HVAC. If that's a great marketing tool, because they're going to use it.
Oh yeah. Another thing I saw companies, we never did this. I always wanted to. I talked to companies who had branded tarps. So they had their logo printed on the
That's
tarps.
cool.
So when they went into a home and unfolded the tarps, the logo was all over it. It was really cool. It was something that's like, no one's really going to care about that. But then when you saw it, you're like, oh yeah, that actually looks really professional, really cool. And then they folded it really nicely as they were folding it up. Like they didn't just crumble it up and throw it in the truck. The customer just kind of picks up on that type of stuff.
Another cool thing, you may know him, Gene Slade, and then Brandon Stowe. So Gene Slade is the HVAC super lead ninja, whatever the heck he calls himself. I've been friends with him for years on Facebook. The two of them came up with the mats. Like, they actually did their own doormats that the guys could put on the front step and wipe their feet off before they even walked into the customer's home.
Yeah.
That's man, because then any neighbors that are walking by, they see that doormat up there on the step and the customer sees it up there. That's not something you're going to leave behind, but that is something that catches that awareness for the customer.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yard signs. I know this was just kind of the time period where we avoid yard signs because of the whole political landscape, but we're past all that now. So, I like a good yard sign in a yard if you do a job there all day. And fly swatters. I got a bunch of fly swatters too from companies that I keep. That's something that I'm never going to let go because, you always need one.
Yeah. I like this one, especially for the appliance repair. Soap. Some type of soap.
Oh, that is good.
Yeah.
That is good. You can get your logo right on the packaging there.
Yeah.
I was at an HVAC conference in California one year, and I pulled him up this morning so I could kind of have a refresher. But there was a guy there that did a keynote speak, Andrew Davis, and he has something called the loyalty loop. And basically, his theory is that you take your current most loyal customers and turn them into your marketing source. And we've all heard different versions of this. Andrew's way of displaying it was just amazing. If you ever get a chance to listen or go online and look him up, do it. He has a book out there that's really good. One of the examples that he gave me is to use your employees as your marketing source. And this is how he explained us to do it. And I'm going to use the example of you're trying to talk to your customers about maintenance. Okay. He really preached multiple touches. So have one person answer the phone and then have somebody else book the call with them and then have somebody else call to confirm the call. Because now that person has talked to 3 different people in your company. And what happens, the more you get to know the different people in the company, the more you kind of get that internal feeling of family. And he really had some good examples of how he's been able to help companies make a lot of money doing it that way too. So you could market without even spending any money, just strategically using the employees that you have. And he's all about multiple touches. So one email comes from this person, another email comes from this person. It makes it feel, kind of all family atmosphere.
I love that. Here's some other leave behinds: oven mitts, barbecue apron sets, jar openers. Those are great for appliance and HVAC guys to be leaving behind for sure.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
I got an embroidery machine that could really embroider some oven mitts.
There you go.
You guys got me thinking.
Yeah, no, I love the multiple touches, man. There's a study out there that says it takes 7 to 10 touches before a customer will actually even use you, right? So 7 to 10 times seeing an email, or 7 to 10 times hearing your ad, or seeing you on Facebook, or seeing someone comments about you. On average, it takes 7 to 10 times before your brand sticks out in their head.
Yeah.
It's how we're wired. Big mindset guy, you can't get around the way that our mind works. And so the studies have been done. It's 7 to 10 touches. And so if you're automatically building in 3 or 4 touches within the company, that's a great way to do it. I love it.
Yeah, he's all about the customer experience, and he's about turning the customer experience into your marketing by just wowing them so much and making them feel so comfortable that they can't help but share you. Because let's be honest here, all these leave behinds are good. Chambers, B&I. What is the number one lead source that every one of us wants in home services? Is a referral. Because we know the close ratio and the ticket numbers on referrals is way better. So anything we can do to get referrals is always going to beat anything we just talked about. So customer experience can be a huge marketing source for you.
That's good. Good question. Our service tends to be reactionary. What's the single most first touch? I think that really, I have been big on personal brands. Especially if you're the owner of the company, you need to have a personal brand. That's why I embrace the Pink Hat Roofer. I got the Pink Hat Roofer website. I'm within 3JM, but I am the Pink Hat Roofer. I have that personal brand. It's online. It's on Facebook. Every time I put a post up, I put that there, right? But I'm also tagging 3JM, right? So reactionary or not, the more people see that, the more that's being referred out, right? It's gonna reach people that way.
And so most of our business is reactionary, but there are some things in the home services industry that aren't. So I'll give you an example. Filters in your furnace. Why not email your customers the first of every month and say, hey, if you haven't changed your furnace filter in the last 30 days, now's a good time to do that. That's not a reactionary thing. Now that's a first touch. They go down. It's like, oh, I haven't changed my filter in a while, but it's fall, so we should have them out for a tune-up. That is an example of a first touch that you can actually plan. And most of the pieces of equipment that we're working on have some sort of maintenance factor that needs to be done. And that's a great way to reach out to your customer. And you're not saying, hey, let me sell you something. You're just saying, hey, just remember to change your filter for us,
Yeah. You guys actually, you had the subscription service where they could buy the filters directly from you. Did that have your branding on that at all, or was that just a brown box that showed up?
Yeah, when it shipped, it was just a brown box. It had our name on the as the shipper. We were the company shipping them. We weren't physically shipping them, but the company that was shipping them for us put our name on it. But it doesn't really have our it didn't have your name on the filter and things like that.
That's cool if it was on the big box, though. You know what I mean? Big old logo on the box. That would have been awesome.
Yeah. I mean, there's companies that do that all in house and drop the filters off at people's doorsteps every month. And you think about it, well, that seems dumb, but I mean, if you have a guy in the company that can drive around for half a day every month, dropping off filters, most of us have a service area that's pretty small, so it's not as crazy as it sounds.
Yes, that'd be awesome. Fridge filters, and you could just bundle a whole bunch of filters together for different items in the house, and
you put it in your maintenance plan, so they're paying for it monthly with their subscription, and there's a lot of cool things you can do there.
Speak to 10 mother-in-laws, they'll get the word out for you. I mean, really, the word of mouth does. If you make one person in the family happy, and then everyone else is using you, it's a good marketing tool that way. You're just leveraging your existing customer base. Anywhere you can leverage your existing customer base to be your marketing channel, the better off it is. If they know how to get to your website, if they know how to get to your social media, and they can share that with friends and family and neighbors and stuff like that, it's just that much better. And so For me, one of the biggest marketing channels has always been social marketing. And so my Facebook is very intentionally crafted to, it shows a little bit of my life. It shows a little bit of my work. It shows a little bit of my hobbies, and everything's very crafted in that way so that you kind of see this whole aspect. So when someone gets referred to me and they go and check out my Facebook page, they see what I'm all about, and they see it all around. Right.
Yeah. Videos, go buy a GoPro, you
Yep.
know. If you send a GoPro out with your guys in the truck and tell them film something for me and bring it back, they will. And believe it or not, if you speed some of that up and throw it on a quick 30-second video, you'd be surprised at how many views you're going to get on that. You know, people get lost in these reels and everything, and they sit there for hours on their phone cycling through these videos. And why not one of those videos be yours?
Catch me on a bad ADHD day and I'll be sitting there.
Oh, me too. Yeah.
Through it.
Yeah.
Dress well, look clean. That leaves an impression. That is a great marketing tool. And again, making sure all your stuff is branded and clean. That does matter. I just saw Gene Slade talking. It was from a speech he did in the early 2000s, talking about if you have a beard, they're not going to trust you, this, that, and the other thing. In my industry, I think they don't trust you if you don't have a beard doing roofing, but HVAC is a little bit different. You know, they do tend to trust the more clean shaven guys a little bit better. You're going into the home. There is something to be said about that. Although those trends all change, right?
Yeah.
So you go back to the 80s, beards were huge. You didn't have a beard, you weren't considered trusted, right?
Yeah.
You go into the 90s and the early 2000s, and it was a different story. The beards were fading away. It was going into the mustaches. Beards are on their way back now, where, you know, there's wisdom and experience are seen with beards now. So it's weird, but you kind of got to pay attention to those trends.
It depends on where you're at in the country too. I was in a room where we had a sales trainer telling you the old, okay, button up shirt, dress slacks, tucked in, belt. And the one guy said, excuse me, he was sitting next to me. He leans over and he goes, if I wore anything other than blue jeans to one of my service calls, my customers wouldn't let me in the door. Mm-hmm. He was in a real remote part of Michigan, and it was an old school area. And he said, they don't want a guy showing up with a dress shirt and slacks to fix their AC. They want a guy in jeans and a work shirt, you know? So it depends on where you're at, because customers see that differently in different parts of the country.
They 100% do. It's knowing your area, knowing what they're going to relate to, right? I got the nice gray beard going on, you know, so I can play off the experience, right? It works well for my customers. Mikey and I actually, we joke about it online, but you know, there's something to it. You know, he'll go, "Hey, you like an old guy with a beard? Give Zach a call. But if you like a young hippie, you know, give me a shout," right? And we play off of that on our social media when we're referring in groups. So
your beard, I love it. Yeah, you got to be yourself, though. I think that's the most important thing when we're talking about dressing. People can smell you from a mile away if you're faking it. You always got to be yourself. If you're not comfortable in dress shirt and slacks, don't wear it. Wear what you're comfortable in. Obviously, to a point there, you can't walk in there in sweatpants like we'd all love to sometimes. But be yourself. That's the most important thing, I think.
Yeah, this is a good point. Service person, salesperson, that's how you dress. Slacks are for hacks. Now, I mean, there's some
companies wearing slacks.
Yeah, I mean, there are some very successful companies in our area that do it. They go into different areas, and that's what people. You go into Naperville and you go in a polo and a nice pair of pants.
Yeah.
They're going to trust you. You go in jeans and a hoodie, they're bouncing you out of that house.
Right.
Naperville is one of the wealthiest towns in our area, and we're talking multi-million-dollar houses in that area.
Yeah.
So you have to go there very differently than if you come into Joliet, where it's very blue collar, very, very diverse population. You're going to go into a home in Joliet differently than you're going to go into a home in Naperville. So
yeah,
it really does depend on your area for sure.
And everybody's a salesperson, whether they're service or sales. You're still selling.
Whether you like it or not, you're a salesperson. And I say that all the time. You are your salesperson. If you cannot embrace that,
yeah,
just get out. I mean, listen, you had to sell yourself to your spouse. You had to sell yourself to your girlfriend, whatever. You're a salesperson, whether you like it or not. So just embrace that and learn how to do it without being the pushy, unlikable sales type of person. Learn how to embrace sales in your own way, and you will be successful for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I got to get running. I got to go lead a meeting.
All right.
Yeah, see, here we go. You're all salespeople. Get over it. Join the force. You don't have a choice. It is what it is.
Yep.
Anyway, so today is the last day to sign up for the Mastermind, ServiceAllianceGroup.com. If you are not an All Access member, go check it out, ServiceAllianceGroup.com. Become an All Access member. Every single month, we do a mastermind, and tomorrow I am leading SMART goals, and boy, do I have a presentation for you. I am big on if it ain't on paper, it don't exist, and it ain't going to happen. And there's scientific studies behind that. So that's why I push that so hard. But leading SMART goals tomorrow. So all access members, if you are, go sign up. It's on the website in the mastermind area. Click the button and hit RSVP, and you can be in that meeting tomorrow. If you're not an all access member, go join. Why not? Come hang out with some of the people in the industry that are trying to change the tone. I will see you again on Monday with Doug. Thanks for coming along, Andy Z. Always a pleasure to have you, man.
Yep. It's always fun.
See you guys next week.